Today on this channel, guys, we're going to be checking out the Flex E2 by Slick Revolution. So here we have the Flex E 2.0. Now this board is from Slick Revolution, which is a UK company. We actually took a look at the Flex E 1.0 last year and it was pretty good. But we did have a few concerns around the remote, a little bit flimsy, and the power output. We just couldn't get enough power out of the Flex E 1.0. But with this 2.0 version, the manager Robert from Slick Revolution thinks he's solved these problems. This board is currently available out on Kickstarter for pre-orders today. But we're not going to delay any further. Let's get this thing opened up and see what we get inside. So as I tear this box open, I should probably mention, for the benefit of Slick Revolution, this thing is actually not available yet. So what we're going to get in the contents of this box is a bit of a prototype for the Flex E 2.0. We're going to get the final skateboard. However, some of the packaging may change for the final consumer version. Now, as happens quite frequently, we've got a box inside another box. Let's play a little bit of Russian dolls here and open up this one as well. And here we have the board, the Slick Revolution Flex E 2.0. Now, I can't see a lot of difference from the 1.0, but we do have this nice design on the grip tape. We're going to take a closer look at this in a second. What else have we got from Slick Revolution? We've got a case here. And of course, we're going to take a look inside that case. So it looks like we have a charger. Pretty standard. A T-tool, also pretty standard. And we've also got a nice pre-printed manual from Slick Revolution. Now let's take a look at the remote control. Now one of the most important new features of this new board is the new remote. Let's take a look. First, I don't know how we turn this thing on. I might have to charge it up. This thing feels pretty awesome in the hand. It's got a really nice weighted wheel mechanism. I'm not sure what this switch is, maybe mode. Is that a dead man trigger? We're going to find out. First impressions on the remote though, it looks extremely promising. Now the top of the Flex E seems to have a nice U concave and a little bit of a camber. And the grip tape feels pretty nice. This Slick Revolution board has obviously been used a little bit as a prototype version and it's already got some marks on it. But we've got to say, this new design on the grip tape looks pretty good. If we turn this thing over, now at the back here we have some what look like be some pretty sturdy gravity cast trucks. On those we have these huge 110mm rough stuff wheels. Now there is a bit of a debate about how much contact area you get on the rough stuff wheels and how good they are on standard tarmac, but we're going to test that out later and see how they run. The case of the Flex E 2.0 looks very similar to the previous version, very alien-like. We have here what I think are cases containing the batteries. And over here on this side we have the electronic speed controller, including heat sink and on and off button. Now at the back here we have another sturdy looking set of trucks with a belt driven motor system. So we basically have a belt attached to these two motors driving these wheels. Now this is very much different from many of you who've got hub motor systems where the motor actually fits inside the wheel and that's what drives the skateboard. With this system you get a full polyurethane wheel, which should mean for a much smoother ride, especially with these 110mm. So we've come out to this rough little cycle lane to give these rough stuff wheels a proper testing. Now I've already got the board on, so it's time to put the remote on. And we can see it's starting up, and it looks like it's paired already. To test that out, we're going to press the dead man trigger and rotate the wheel forward. Given that this board's called the Flexi, let's give this thing a flex test. I would say a decent bit of flex on the Flexi. Should absorb some of the bumps. Just getting a proper feel for this wheel. Alright, time to hit the trail and give this board a proper testing. So first impressions, the remote is a big improvement over the previous remote. I feel a lot more confident, feel like I'm in control. Second thing I'm noticing on this board is these rough stuff wheels are handling the rough ground pretty well. Previously, I was not a huge fan of these rough stuff wheels, but today they're performing rather well. I may be a slight convert. Okay, so time to apply the brake, and ooh, for me that's a little bit rough. I don't really get the braking sensation until I've rotated the wheel right to the back. I'd like a lot more of a gradual braking. So question, can you really go off-road with these rough stuff wheels? Let's find out. Now that really would have been a lot easier on AT tires, but I've got to hand it to the rough stuff. For street wheels, they really do tear up the mud. Now on paper, this board is faster than a boosted board or a GTX, and substantially faster than the previous Flexi. Is it really that fast? Let's find out. Flexi 2 up to full speed now, and I can definitely confirm it's a lot faster than the old board. So I'm just heading down a pretty steep hill on some oncoming traffic. Let's hope the brake works. And the brake works pretty well, reasonably strong. The only thing I'd say, I'd like a little bit of a smoother action on this wheel. Looks like we found the perfect little hill for a hill test. Let's see how much power this board can deliver when we're heading up the hill. Just heading up this steep hill now on the Flexi board. We're mooring up. Pretty reasonable. So we just powered up that hill without any problem. I'm not sure that board quite had as much torque as the boosted board or the GT Bamboo, but we've got to say, it's quite close. So we've come down to the beach today with a few of the guys from Skate UK, and we're going to give the Slick Revolution board a bit of a range test. It's got a lot of 18650 batteries, so we're expecting a pretty good performance. Let's see how it performs compared to some of those Evolves. So we're just starting to ride along the coast, full batteries, let's see how far we get before this thing starts beeping and running out. Now as I'm riding down this beachway, I'm giving it some throttle, trying to max the board out and rinse through the battery as quickly as possible. We decided to take the Carbon GT AT up against the Flex C 2.0. We're going to see which one accelerates better and which one has the highest top speed. Flex C versus the Carbon GT AT. Okay, so ready, set, go. So on GT mode, the GT slightly accelerated the Flex C, but I think they had fairly similar top speeds. Just doing a little bit of a check-in around the 4 miles mark. According to the remote, the board's almost full. It looks about 85–90%. Is that true? Well, sometimes the drop-off happens pretty quickly, but we'll find out. This is natural beauty right here, guys. Great little spot. So given the fact that I'm going to take this thing to full range, if I had to take off from the group, I'd accelerate a little bit and just go off my own. Really max this board out. So checking in, we've done about 8 miles now, and very suspiciously, according to the remote, the battery is still full. I'm starting to suspect that on this prototype board, the battery readout is not entirely accurate. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep riding this thing until it starts slowing down and actually stops because it's run out of battery. So in conclusion, what did we think of the Flex C 2.0? First up, top speed, we got a very respectable 21 miles an hour out of this board. Very similar to the Boosted or the Bamboo GT. However, the acceleration didn't quite match those other two boards. When we did the range test for this board, we got a pleasant surprise. Not only did it substantially outperform the Flex C 1.0, it also outperformed the Boosted board and even the Bamboo GT. We managed to get 12 miles at this board before it started slowing down. One caveat though, I hope they fixed the battery indicator on the remote before releasing the final version. Moving along to quality, the quality of this board actually seems pretty good. It has a nice deck on it with a good camber, reasonable trucks, decent battery case, and the customer service guarantee from Slick Revolution seems to be very good. Now, even though the battery readout on the remote doesn't seem to be working, the board itself does have an indicator. And we've got 3 out of 5 batteries left. Now onto hill climb. The hill climb on this board was pretty good. Now it wasn't as fast as the Boosted or the GTX, however it did climb the hill just as well as the Mipu or the Wago. Would say the hill climb on this board is above average. So in the end, what did I think of this remote? The good points first. It feels weighty in the hand, not cheap like the Wago or Mipu remotes. The wheel has a nice resistance to it, the dead man trigger works well, and we get an LCD readout. Excellent. So what are my problems with this remote? Well, it all comes down to calibration. With the Boosted remote, I seem to get a nice linear progression as I press the wheel up to acceleration. But with this board, I seem to get all the acceleration right at the end, which makes it less controllable. Same thing with the brakes. I don't seem to brake until I push the wheel all the way back. I'd like a nice, smooth, progressive curve. As far as value for money goes, at £750, this board is about half the price of a GTX. And I've got to say it performs about 80% as well as a GTX. Is it worth the money? For a lot of people, probably yes. Let's take a minute to talk about these rough stuff wheels. Now these things are pretty good on mud and stony ground, however on tarmac, this contact area to the road is actually less, as you can see from where the wheel's worn. And for my particular uses, I'd probably prefer normal street wheels. However, if you're going through extremely rough conditions and you don't want to use AT wheels, these might be worth a consideration. So to sum the Flexi 2.0 up, we've got to say it's a big improvement over the Flexi 1.0. The added range and new remote control make a big difference. And at £750, this board is a serious contender for the best mid-level e-skate. I think petrol still wins, unfortunately.